morning. It is Monday, January the 17th, 2022. I'm Pearson Bowen with the CBC Morning Report. With the current IMF program set to come to an end this year, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley says she wants to ensure that, once feasible, the economy is in a position to continue on a path of major growth. Speaking at a meeting at Wotton Christchurch in endorsing candidate for Christchurch East Central Ryan Strawn, Ms. Mottley said the future looks bright.
You have to wait and see what the outturn figures are. You have to wait and see what the cost of capital, the interest rates are. And make decisions based on where we are. The bottom line is the IMF did not impose anything on us that we didn't want to do. We developed our own Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program. There are elements of it that have to be tweaked because of the pandemic. But we are going after growth aggressively this year. And Ryan will tell you that this year and next year, we expect double-digit growth and we expect to turn the corner.
Barbados Labour Party candidate for St. James Central, Kerry Simmons, has been citing areas where there has been a reduction in the power of the office of the Prime Minister. He's been responding to allegations about Prime Minister Mottley's style of leadership. Speaking at that meeting at Wotton, Simmons said one change has seen in the selection of the island's Chief Justice and judges.
Unlike Arobar, unlike David Thompson, unlike Owen Arthur, unlike Franda Stewart, unlike Erskine Sandiford, she has determined that judges in Barbados will not be selected by a Prime Minister, but that they will be subject to recommendations made from a panel of learned people in the law. So that she is saying, look, though I can, by way of the constitutional power I have, choose the Chief Justice of Barbados, she did not choose Sir Patterson Cheltenham.
Democratic Labour Party President Verla de Pisa is hitting back at critics of her leadership and campaign styles. Speaking on a platform at Deacon's last night in the St. Michael Northwest constituency in support of Ryan Walters, she said the strategy allows each candidate to stand for themselves. She also gave her perspective of leadership.
When we can have individuals walking through and taking over the poster on every part of the island as though we are creating some sort of demigod in the country, and then telling me that because my poster not all about Barbados, that means that my people are not standing with me. It is because my people can stand on their own 2 feet. And that is not what leadership is, to have one person running the whole thing.
Meanwhile, the Democratic Labour Party's candidate for St. Michael Northwest believes some of the challenges being faced by the National Insurance Scheme can be solved by increasing employment opportunities for Barbadians. Ryan Walters says such an approach will be far more effective than borrowing money to replenish the scheme.
If you employ people, National Insurance will get its due. About just over 23% of your wages go into the National Insurance Scheme between yourself and the employer. Money will come. Instead of playing the fool, employ the people, support employment, let the people earn an income, support businesses, replenish the NAS, and live. That is the economics I want you to be studying, not a debt to GDP and all that. Left that for the central bank.
A suggestion that infrastructural development in Barbados should not be dependent on political partisanship. That assertion from Alliance Party for Progress candidate for St. Philip West, Lynette Eastman. She says the time has come for political parties to put a national infrastructural plan in place.
Within the Alliance, we believe that there should be an infrastructural plan for Barbados so that we give certain infrastructural work priority and so that you can see when roads in your particular neighborhood are going to be done, and there's a pledge to do them.
This is the CBC Morning Report. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we have our COVID-19 updates. 412 new positive COVID-19 cases have been recorded in Barbados. Of that number, 227 are female and 185 are male, identified by the Best of Santos Public Health Laboratory from among the 1,988 tests conducted on Saturday. Of those cases recorded, 70 were under the age of 18. 105 people are in isolation facilities, while in-home isolation are 5,217. Since February 2020, Barbados has recorded 35,373 cases. The number of deaths from the viral illness remains at 269. The total number of fully vaccinated individuals now stands at 145,896. Come February, all visitors to Belize will be required to buy Belize travel health insurance. Director of Tourism, Evan Tillett, says the mandate is to protect travelers against medical and other expenses incurred if they test positive for COVID-19 during their stay.
Well, there's a new travel insurance that will be implemented on the 15th of February. It's an insurance policy that covers a visitor if they get sick in the country. The policy costs $18 US. You have a coverage of $50,000 US for a period of 21 days. In terms of, it also provides trip cancellation coverage. So what it does is to protect the hotel sector as well as protecting the guests in case of the guests can't come and we are operating in a pandemic and an Omicron environment. What we are seeing is that in some cases guests test positive after they already spent their vacation. And the public health regulation says that it's at the cost of the visitor. A lot of times these visitors don't have the monies to pay for it. So having the insurance provides a level of coverage, a level of safety for the guests and for the industry. Belize is late to the game in terms of travel insurance. Jamaica has a travel insurance program, Turks and Caicos, Dubai, the UK. So it's nothing new for the tourism sector. Given the fact of the importance of the tourism sector in Belize being 40% of GDP, it's important that we protect our industry, we protect our locals, we protect our guests.
Bermuda's government is swapping some coronavirus surveillance tests from PCR testing to rapid antigen testing. However, there are concerns that the tests may be less sensitive at picking up asymptomatic cases. We have a report now from Bermuda Broadcasting.
Rapid antigen testing is replacing PCR testing for coronavirus surveillance of public schools, close contacts and, it was recently confirmed, nursing home staff. While this adds a level of convenience and reduces pressure on testing resources, could widespread use of the less sensitive tests allow asymptomatic infections to sneak through? How can you justify this change in light of the fact that PCR remains the gold standard, by your words, and people in nursing homes are among the most vulnerable members of our society?
What we're finding is that the antigen testing conducted regularly will provide a measure of control so that persons can see and identify persons being infectious.
The hospital's Dr. Wesley Miller went on to assert that the accuracy of antigen testing matches the accuracy of PCR testing when there is widespread community transmission. Are you saying at this time, with high numbers in the community, rapid antigen testing is as reliable as the gold standard PCR saliva testing, PCR nasal pharyngeal testing?
Yes, and when the incidence is high, it is just as reliable. When the incidence fall, then it's different.
Antigen tests, however, may not be as effective at picking up asymptomatic cases or cases with a low viral load, particularly with the Omicron variant. Preliminary studies in the US suggest that antigen tests do detect Omicron, but may have reduced sensitivity. The FDA also stated at the end of last year, quote, "Antigen tests are generally less sensitive and less likely to pick up very early infections compared to molecular tests." End quote.
Bangladesh has enforced a new set of rules and guidelines to check a sharp rise in COVID-19 infections in the past week. This week saw infections in that country triple.
Many small business owners here have barely recovered from the impact of the last COVID-19 lockdown. Now they're worried about Omicron.
We are really concerned because last time we had a major corona outbreak, business was bad for us. In recent times, though, things got a bit stable and we're okay. But if there's another lockdown due to corona outbreak, then our situation will get really worse.
Under the new COVID restriction, public gatherings remain suspended and transport operators have to limit the number of passengers to half capacity. The 11-point first restrictions on public movement and businesses imposed by the government to fight the spread of Omicron infection is ignored by many, mainly due to lack of enforcement and monitoring by the concerned authorities. Some health experts warn that the situation could worsen.
Mainly it is coming from India, with which we have a very long border, and a lot of people are coming across the border every day, because we cannot stop the movement of the people, congregation of the people, and also people are not wearing masks.
Bangladesh has been able to fully vaccinate only a third of its 167 million population. Under the new rules, most businesses require customers to show their vaccine certificates.
The problem is many customers do not carry the vaccine card with them and get upset when we request them to show the card. Some do comply, others say they do not have the card yet.
The government fears hospitals won't be able to cope if Omicron infections continue to increase.
If the infections rate and the number of patients increase, then there will be no space left in the hospitals. As you are aware that Omicron is increasing globally, so we must be on full alert from now on.
For many, there is a growing concern about whether the country can cope with another major COVID outbreak. Low-income and daily wage earners say they suffer the most from the imposition of these new restrictions.
Much more on the Morning Report after this break. Well, there are predictions that the Democratic Labour Party will have a new leader after the January 19th general elections. This as political analyst Peter Wickham is projecting a tough road ahead for President Verla de Pisa. He does not expect her to win the St. Lucie seat, being contested against incumbent for the Barbados Labour Party, Peter Phillips. He says statistics show the electorate in that constituency has moved away from supporting the DLP.
The extent to which the Barrow Dems of St. Lucie are dying out or alternatively unable to vote and participate, to me, is reflected in the polling data that we've been seeing for the last 15 years. And I sense it will continue. So I think that Verla has an uphill battle, quite frankly. I think she was ill advised to go up there, but she went with the best of intentions. And we have to see what the outcome is. But my sense is that the hope for her is not that strong. And certainly, I think that will bring her leadership of the Democratic Labour Party to a close, because certainly if someone gets into Parliament and just not her, she can't lead the DLP. And frankly, I think that if she did make it into Parliament and there was more than one other person there, it's entirely possible that she'll be taken down.
The DLP leader is in a very vulnerable position.
Her tenure as leader of the Democratic Labour Party has not exactly been outstanding. And she clearly is not comparing well to Prime Minister Motley. And I keep making the point that the DLP is at the stage now where it is looking for the Messiah. The extent to which she does not appear to be that person, then my sense is that her time there is limited. But, you know, she will do what she has to do for now, and she will lead them into the election. But I think coming out, the DLP will be looking around again to see who can lead it to the promised land.
In other news now, Beige to the World is back for its second season, and ahead of this year's competition, contestants will be engaging in 4 weeks of development training to prepare them mentally and physically for the entertainment industry. More now in this report from Aliyah Briggs.
Beige to the World is back, and this time around competitors had to submit audition videos because of the COVID-19 pandemic. That didn't deter Barbadians, though, as organizers received hundreds of entries. They've named 25 people to move forward to the developmental competition meant to showcase local talent. Contestants recently participated in a workshop on developing a positive mindset and attitude. The presenter was Chris Nan Hurdle, a certified mental skills coach and clinical hypnotherapist who brings with him 7 years of experience in leadership, coaching, and more recently, psychology.
And there's something we say emotional intelligence and in life coaching. Things will happen to you, but there comes a time when you can choose your emotion. In that space, when you can choose your emotion, you have the power of choice.
According to Training and Developmental Coordinator for Beige to the World, Stephanie Chase, this introspective session is the first of a series of workshops intended to prepare contestants physically and mentally for the competition and the entertainment industry.
One of the main purposes that we scheduled a series of workshops was because we wanted to expose the contestants to the intricacies of the entertainment industry. And we wanted to focus on quality active experiences so that the artist development workshops are geared towards building an environment for learning real-world skills that are enjoyable, accessible, and most importantly, effective.
Contestants will participate in a number of developmental workshops over the next 4 weeks. Contestant Andreen McLean describes the first session as an eye-opening experience.
And I thought it was very insightful to start the series of workshops off with one of this nature, because this one affects how you show up. It just in a competition, on stage, just in life generally speaking. For me, it was very eye-opening, and we were given a lot of tips on how to manage a lot of the things that we need to cope with as individuals and as entertainers.
The Beige to the World TV series starts next Saturday, the 22nd of January on CBC TV 8 at 9:03 p.m. Aliyah Briggs, CBC News.
In Jamaica, the government, in response to what the Prime Minister Andrew Holness says is barbaric gangsters in Westmoreland executing brutal terror, has declared a zone of special operation in Savannah Lamar. The parish has been seeing several shootings and murders since the start of the year.
The zones of special operation will displace the criminals and disrupt their pattern of terror activities. It will give the people of these communities a well-needed break. A break from the gunshots every night, from sleeping under their beds every night, from the random and collateral murders and other acts of terror. However, the zone of special operations is a specifically designed intervention which is more geographically limited and focused on community building. So in addition to the security element, it has a heavy community intervention, social intervention, and community building component, which must be properly organized.
As the tsunami threat around the Pacific from a massive undersea volcano eruption began to subside yesterday, a huge ash cloud covering the Pacific island nation of Tonga prevented surveillance flights from New Zealand to determine the extent of damage. The volcano eruption on Saturday sent tsunami waves crashing across the shores in Tonga, and rising water levels were reported on the coastline of Peru and the Pacific coast of the United States.
It took only minutes for the waves to arrive. The tsunami engulfing Tonga's main island, Tongatapu. The water rushing ashore into homes. And this church in the capital, Nuku'alofa. This woman was streaming live on Facebook when the waves swept through. They were triggered by this, the underwater Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano, just 70 kilometres from the Tongan capital. It's been erupting for weeks, but on Friday violent activity increased, including a record-breaking amount of lightning.
There was this giant explosion, which scientists think is a 1 in 1,000-year event for this sort of volcano. It takes about 1,000 years to fully recharge, so it just happened to be around at the point where it has unleashed a vast amount of its magma in a really explosive way. It's probably one of the most energetic explosions of the entire 21st century so far.
The eruption was so big it could be seen from space, and between that and the tsunami, significant damage is being reported in Tonga. New Zealand is planning to send military aircraft to check the damage, but with an almost 20,000-metre high ash cloud, it's not yet safe to fly.
Shops along the coast have been damaged and a significant clean-up will be needed. Nuku'alofa is covered in thick film of volcanic dust.
New Zealand too saw the effects of the waves, the water tossing boats as if they were toys in this marina. Some fishermen said they had to run for their lives.
There was liveaboards on board next to my boat, and they had no warning. They heard the noise and people were running down the piers, banging on their boats, telling them to get out.
The shockwaves from the eruption were felt across the Pacific, with tsunami warnings from American Samoa to Fiji. And evacuations of homes ordered in Japan 8,000 kilometres away. Waves a metre higher than usual were registered on the western coast of the United States.
Hello world, we are surviving the tsunami. Out here in Pacifica, I can tell you it is happening, y'all. It is happening.
On California's Huntington Beach, some surfers ignored warnings to stay out of the water, eager to ride a historic wave. Further south in Chile, residents in Coquimbo and Los Rios were asked to move to safe zones at least 30 metres above sea level. While in Peru, 2 women were reported to have drowned in strong waves near the northern coast.
I didn't notice the first wave. During the second one, people started moving more towards the shore. It was with the third wave when it reached the wall. On the fourth, everything got flooded and the water reached up to my knees.
The tsunami threat has receded, but reports of damage are still coming in, and the eruption in Tonga may not be the last.
Well, calls are growing for British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to resign after more revelations came to light about regular parties organised at Downing Street that broke COVID-19 lockdown rules. According to a new report by the Daily Mirror newspaper, the UK Prime Minister witnessed weekly Wine Time Friday drinking sessions by his staff throughout the coronavirus pandemic.
After weeks of denials, Johnson eventually apologized for what he calls works event drinks parties at his home while everyone else was in COVID lockdown. The leader of the opposition Labour Party says Boris Johnson has repeatedly lied to everyone and must resign. Nadeem Baba has more from London and says Conservative MPs are receiving numerous emails from their constituents who are angry about the Prime Minister's conduct.
It's clear that the pressure is on Boris Johnson like never before. Now, on Sunday, the leader of the opposition Labour Party, Keir Starmer, again called on him to resign. He said it was clear the Prime Minister had broken the rules by attending a garden party, which involved sending out invitations to staff to bring your own booze. Of course, Boris Johnson told Parliament that he thought this was a work event, but many of his own colleagues have rubbished that suggestion. Keir Starmer also saying that Boris Johnson has lied to Parliament previously when he said there had been no parties. Number 10 Downing Street on Sunday also rejected a report in the Sunday Times who had spoken to a former Number 10 official who said that Boris Johnson had been warned that that garden party was in fact illegal and that he should cancel it.
Let's take a look at sports now. West Indies surrendered the one-day international series at home to Ireland, falling by 2 wickets in the third and final clash in Jamaica last evening. Sent into bat, the Windies rode on 53 from vice-captain Shea Hope and 44 from Jason Holder before they fell on 212 off 44.4 overs. Player of the match and of the series, Andy McBride, picked up 4 for 28. Here are the innings highlights. Well, in reply, the visitors reached a target of 214 for 8 or 44.5 overs, thanks to 59 from McBride and 52 from Harry Tector. Roston Chase took 3 for 44. It means the Windies have lost the series 2-1. Let's take a look at our forecast conditions as recorded at the Met Office this morning. Now, just to let you know what's in the forecast for today. At the moment, we are 25.6 degrees Celsius under fair conditions, and the winds are coming from the east at 28 kilometers an hour. At the beach today, expect a low tide at 8 minutes after 9 and a high tide at 26 minutes after 3 this afternoon. Seas are predicted to be moderate in open water with swells up to 2.5 meters. Small craft and high surf warning is in effect for above normal sea swells. In the forecast for Barbados today, initially cloudy with intermittent light to moderate scattered showers. Towards afternoon, though, it will become partly sunny. While tonight, Barbados is forecast to be mostly clear. A look at some international cities. And that's it for the CBC Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning to you, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Monday the 17th of January, 2022. Welcome to a brand new week. That's my name. I'm Pearson Bowen. Welcoming all of you here, there, and everywhere. We do apologize for those of you who are expecting our stream on Facebook. What we've done instead is to post our YouTube link on our Facebook page, and you can see it right there. Just click the link, it takes you to our YouTube channel, and you can watch us right there. But apologies indeed, sincerest. And for those of you already watching on our YouTube channel, thank you every day for joining with us on Morning Barbados. Now, coming up today, Carlos Cobham, yes, a young man with a tremendous amount of talent, has something to say to young people. He wants young people to turn from what and turn to. He'll talk to us a little bit more about that. We'll continue our conversation on endometriosis. They have a big fundraiser coming up, but we'll look at the condition and how people are coping with that condition. We'd also today be looking at the Gimme Raw. You remember the weekend? Yes, Gimme Raw. It happened on the weekend, and so our guests will be back. I want to hear more about that and the whole concept of rhythmic eating. I know your eyebrows just popped up. What is that, right? Well, we'll talk a little bit more to them about that as well. COVID-19, how has that impacted your behavior? What behavioral changes have you seen as a consequence of COVID-19? Looking at that too. But let's get started today by approaching what's happening this month of January. We're looking at the National Council on Substance Abuse in Drug Awareness Month. And joining us to talk about what else they're doing is Wendy Greenidge, who is a Substance Abuse Prevention Officer with the National Council on Substance Abuse. Good morning to you, Ms. Greenidge.
Good morning, Pearson, and good morning, Barbados.
Thank you so much for joining us. Your theme is a big theme for the month indeed. Strong families, stronger nation. And so far, you've been running a number of online series. How have they been going thus far?
Our webinars have been going extremely well. We have been focusing mainly on parents so far, and we have another one coming up tomorrow. So far, they've been in the evening, but tomorrow's will be during the daytime. Starting at 10:30, we'll be having a webinar for parents entitled, Who's the Boss? That's the challenge going out to parents to see, who's really running things in your household. So that will be facilitated by our partners, the Substance Abuse Foundation, and we're really looking forward to an exciting time.
And I really hope that as parents join you in this exercise as well, that they're honest enough to say, you know what,
Yes.
I think I've relinquished control, and for some reason my child who is abusing the substance is taking over the control of the house, because you're talking there about parentification of the child and its impact on behavior. When you say that, what do you mean exactly?
Well, what can also happen, Pearson, is that if a parent is the person who's abusing, you can also have a situation where a child has to take on the parenting role. So to look and see what effect that can have not only on the child's behavior, but then also within the family structure, what adjustments have to be made to accommodate that situation. And it also has an impact on how the child will behave at school. Because if a child is accustomed to being in charge, then they're going to bring that same behavior into the classroom, and that can also cause problems in the school system.
And unfortunately, oftentimes we see that as aggression. and it's not necessarily
Yes.
aggression, it's just a coping mechanism. This poor child is trying to manage as best it can and has been forced into adulthood much sooner than it's able to cope. So what are some of the strategies you think that a parent who finds himself or a child in that situation could adopt so that they are able to keep their heads up and to be able to manage life a whole lot easier?
Well, I'm not expert in the area, let me say that up front. But what I would suggest is that you find somebody who is an expert in that area to guide you, because I'm just a parent, just like any other parent. And you know, the best thing you can do is speak to somebody else who may have been through that experience, how they have been able to cope, and to seek further advice.
You know, in the situation we're dealing with here, whether it is the parent who's abusing the drugs or the child who's abusing the drugs, it is still not the healthiest of conditions. So we can see where the child steps up and says, you know what, mommy and daddy seem not to be coping, but I have to, because there are other siblings that I have to take care of in spite of their challenge as parents. And then on the flip side, there's a parent who says, I'm pulling my hair out because I do not know what to do and it's disrupting my family. So there are many scenarios that will be dealt with, and this is tomorrow's webinar.
Yes, that's correct. Tomorrow at 10:30. Anybody who wants to join us is very welcome to. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Just look for NCSA Barbados and the information will be right there. You can get the link and join us tomorrow at 10:30.
Right, so
this is a daytime version for those of us who are not able to stay up too late in the evening to attend the webinars.
That's good. I'm so glad you said that, because this stayed up late in the evening is not easy. So it's an earlier one indeed. But the point is, even if you're at work at the moment, just peep into it, just step into it, because it will do, the information will be good for you. But what's the real incidence of this happening that you can see at the NCSA, where, you know, this challenge of either the child having to be parentified or the parent losing control for whatever reason? How much of that happens on a day-to-day basis?
I'm not sure if we have actually documented that, but our most recent survey at the primary school level did look to see how many children believe that their parents are aware of what they are doing on a day-to-day basis. And what the results showed is that those children who believe their parents were involved in their lives were less likely to be using drugs, be it alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, or any of the other substances. That is what we found in our research. So the involvement of the parent is very critical in the development of a healthy and safe child.
Isn't it just interesting how it always comes right back to the family, to the home, to the place where you rest your head, to the place where you perhaps should feel a whole lot safer? You know, so how do we begin to arrest the slide so that we build a stronger society?
Person, as you said, it starts right at home with the family. And as parents, we have to be willing to say, look, I recognize that something is going on. Let me get the help that I need. And even if you're not within that home, if you're an auntie or an uncle and you recognize there's some levels of stress going on, don't be afraid to go ahead and speak to the parent and say, look, I recognize there's some challenges. How can I help you? And there are also places that you can go for help. Parados is one of our partners when it comes to parenting matters. You can also come to NCSA and say, look, I really think I have a challenge. We offer a free counseling service. You just need to give us a call at 535-6272. And if we are unable to help you, we are willing and we do refer people to those agencies who can assist them further. So please, if you're feeling the need to have any kind of help, if you're feeling under stress, you have a heavy burden, we are willing to listen to you. We are willing to put you in touch with the correct person who can help you the most. Just last week, we heard about somebody who was calling in saying, look, these children are eating everything in the house. Now, anybody who has children at home at this stage can identify clearly with that. So we may not be able to give you the food that you need, but we can direct you, maybe give you a few recipes, some tips that will be able to help you go through what you are going through immediately. And then if you need further help, we can also help you tap into the right agency to assist you further.
Because there's so many things that the child would do that would seem a little bit strange, but it can elude us as well. When we think that, oh, the child is coping somehow, he's just trying something new. But that trying of something new could very well be an abuse of a substance, and that is not necessarily good. So we must be able to identify the behavioral changes and be able to identify them for what they are and seek assistance. And this is where you said your service at the National Council on Substance Abuse really plays a very pivotal role. Are you also seeing a lot of children themselves reaching out to you, or is it mostly adults who are stepping forward?
It's a mixture of the two. Sometimes children will come to us during a session that we're facilitating during a community or school-based session, and you can begin to pick up that something is happening just by the questions or the statements that they are making. It's really challenging for a child to come up front and say, look, I need help. It's hard for us as adults to do it, but for a child to come forward and say directly, I need help, that's really tough at times. So, we as facilitators have to be tuned in and be able to try to negotiate and really feel out what's going on, and then approach the adults in the situation, because as adults, we are the ones who are supposed to be in control.
So it comes right back to the question, who's the boss? We are supposed to be in control, but at times we lose that control, and we have to ask ourselves, who's the boss here? The parentification of the child and its impact on behavior is tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning, early o'clock. And how can people access this online webinar tomorrow?
They can look for us on Facebook or on Instagram, on NCSA Barbados, and all of the information will be right there. Or you can even give us a call at 535-6272, and we will send you the link.
Good. It's on Zoom. We know where to find that. Yes, it's on Zoom. So, folks, and we posted a passcode. We will post this too on our social media platform here at Mornin Barbados, so you can follow along. But it's a really good opportunity. I want to encourage as many of you as possible to log in tomorrow. You will be learning from the experts about how you can cope, understanding better who really is in control here. Sometimes you think you are, but then sometimes reality hits you and you recognize you really are not. And so as a National Council on Substance Abuse takes time this month to build strong families for a stronger nation, the series continues, and we encourage you to advance to register for the meeting tomorrow morning, 10:30 in the morning, with representatives of the Substance Abuse Foundation and you, where they look at the subject, who's the boss? Parentification of the child and the impact on behavior. An excellent opportunity for you to learn more and to be stronger in your home. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Wendy Greenwich, who is a Substance Abuse Prevention Officer with the National Council on Substance Abuse. I can only wish you the absolute best with tomorrow and the next week's webinar as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pearson. Have a great day.
You do too. Thank you so much indeed. You're very welcome. We'll take that break right here. We're coming back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We have 15 minutes now to go to 7 o'clock. Still to come, we'll give you a good decision of the day today. We're encouraging you to be proactive, but why? and in what way? So we'll share that with you in our good decision of the day. And as always, yep, another week, but another chance for you to help me to spot the locations. I want to know where. We'll share with you a picture, and we'll ask you as we engage in a little bit of fun in the morning with me, a little bit about where is it, and I can't wait to hear from you. Perhaps have a little bit of a chuckle, but most of all for us to learn as we try to understand more and see more of beautiful, beautiful Barbados. Gimme Raw, yeah, that happened on the weekend. We told you about it, and many of you logged in to watch it as well. I did for a little bit myself. But there are many concepts which they introduced, and it will all do our body good. So we'll be connecting once again with Dr. Latham and Mrs. Davidson as we look more about that. We want to hear what was the outcome. How did it all go? And if, as much as possible, if you can share your feedback with them, they will share that feedback with us. So we're looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that as well, coming straight ahead. But when we talked at the beginning of the show about behavior change and how COVID-19 has been impacting that behavioral change. Joining us this morning to take a look at that now is Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite, who is the president of the Caribbean Association of Behavior Change Practitioners. Good morning to you, Cecilia.
Hello, good morning, Pearson. Happy New Year to you.
And well, thank you, and likewise to you, indeed. Hope you had a Merry Christmas and all of those wonderful things that people say. That's
a little
good.
bit on. I had a wonderful time. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Behavioral change and COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 has caused us to stop and look at all of our practices. And in doing that, reassess how we do what we do. What do you see to be some of those behavioral changes that COVID-19 has brought about?
Well, for example, we follow the COVID-19 protocols, as you would know, because that's the model that we subscribe to in Barbados and probably across the world, you know, the social distancing and the sanitization. But where behavior change is concerned, we usually look for issues that are current in our society to see how best we can create our models around some of the issues. If it's within the Caribbean, we try to see how best we can create a Caribbean model to meet some of the needs of the issues that are affecting us. For example, we're looking at the elections. We recognize that we're supposed to be sanitizing as usual, because in my last interview with the COVID-19 representative, Mr. Ellis, he was saying that, you know, we should follow the COVID-19 protocols. And if we do that, you know, it'll be better. We don't need to come up with new ways and new guidelines to do things. Just follow the basic COVID-19 protocols, and that would be washing your hands, sanitizing, the social distancing. But what we're doing is that we're looking at elections, because we recognize that we would be doing that at elections as well. But we have to look at all these little small things that persons get away with. For example, we pack ourselves in the cars in our neighborhood just to go to the polling stations. We have to be cognizant that we're in different times. So sometimes we have to make sure we have a little 2 or 3 now because of COVID-19 situation. When we're looking at alcoholism, we recognize that persons say no alcohol, no sale of alcohol on this day, but persons still open the back door and let persons come in and have a drink, because, you know, in the little communities, persons want to celebrate, persons want to talk, persons want to rehash. So these are all the behaviors that persons were not probably cognizant about, but we're in a different environment. So we must recognize that these things are very important to understand.
We must understand the change, and in understanding the change, in order to make it happen, we have to be able to adapt and adopt. Now, so as a consequence of COVID-19, we're now called on to adjust our human condition. Totally. Yes. Because we were huggy-huggy, now we're asked not to be huggy-huggy. We're social, so as a consequence, we want to be next to. And you're saying, no, now we're asked to be distant in some way. All of those things, and so that in itself creates a challenge for a lot of people, because you're asking me to completely go off-center. And so when you talk a little bit about the theory of planned behavior, what are you talking about?
When we are planning our behavior, we understand the challenges that lie ahead. For example, if you're looking at education around, for example, alcoholism, we recognize that that can be a problem. We are looking at alcoholism for this month, but we have to target our different groups. We have to target them specifically with our younger population, our seniors, you know, and probably our teenagers. So when we're targeting these things, and we have to plan our behavior modules and guidelines around each and every segment of our population to make sure that we reach our target groups. So when we are planning our behaviors, we look at the existing behavior to see how it can be modified or upgraded, or how we can reinforce positive behaviors to get the end result that we want.
You know, but the messages that say, for back to the COVID-19 condition, that say, if I'm vaccinated, therefore I am, and so my behavior adjusts. If I'm not vaccinated, therefore I am, different change in behavior. Or if I wear the mask, if I don't wear the mask, all sorts of things. So as a consequence, humans will say, I will make my own decision because I'm confused, because there's so many messages that are happening. So how should my behavior be in the midst of all of my confusion?
Thank you for that, Pearson. Very good question. And people say very good question, but that was an excellent question because, you know, when persons are vaccinated, they take a lot of things for granted. I had some friends yesterday and they said, hey, look, we're vaccinated, so we don't have to, you know, worry about our masks and stuff like that. So persons feel so in control when they have the vaccination, but they have to recognize they're still at risk. So the persons catch COVID-19 more than once sometimes. So they're still at risk. So they have to make sure, as I said before, to do the basic protocols, the sanitization, wearing the mask, the social distancing, not taking anything for granted, not even the persons in your household who are still at risk for COVID-19.
All right, we've just been joined by Mabel Lucas, who's an intern with you. Mabel, good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Pearson. Thank you.
Welcome. And you're an intern working with Ms. Neblett Brathwaite. How has that been so far with you?
Yeah, no, it's been really good. I haven't officially started working yet because I haven't been here a week yet, but I've met up with Aunt Cecilia multiple times, and it's just been brilliant learning about the Prison Fellowship Charity and all the things that I'm going to be doing there, and just like what she expects of me and what I expect to learn from this experience. So yeah, it's been really good.
Because you're an intern from London, what do you hope to learn from this experience?
So, like on a professional level, like I hope to further understand sort of the development of the criminal mind and like how it can be like prevented from occurring in the first place, and like hopefully eventually healed, and how to like reintegrate people into society and like how that sort of transition works, to ultimately like reduce the rate of like recidivism in the sort of internationally. But you know, like from a personal level, you know, like, I'm part Bayesian and that's something that I'm very proud of. But I just hope to sort of, by staying here, I want to like better my understanding of what it means to be from Barbados and to understand that side of my genetics a bit better.
Is behavior the same wherever one goes from your experience thus far? Or, you know, the behavior of the Brit versus the behavior of the Bajan, would it be the same given that we're all dealing with one problem called COVID-19?
Well, obviously, yeah, COVID-19 is a global problem. It affects everybody, but I think given the fact that sort of British and UK culture is so different to Bayesian culture, it does impact people differently. Just the way like healthcare systems work and the way that people take to things such as a vaccine, like Auntie was saying, like that can have a big impact on how people behave and what people believe about it. Like I have noticed some similarities, but overall it's been pretty different so far.
Cecilia, I've drilled her for you. I hope you didn't mind, right?
Can I please say that Mabel is Richard Stout's, she's related to Mr. Richard Stout. Yeah, well, she's a relative of.
Well done, Mabel. You've come from a family of great performers in Barbados indeed. So here we are now as we get ready for polling day in a couple days away, Cecilia. And you know, you were reminding us that the same protocols by which we operated all year long, all years long now, are the same protocols we must practice on polling day as well. But you cautioned about the density. Let's zone in on that for just a moment. What do you then suggest we do?
I then suggest sometimes persons can walk to the polling stations, you know, two and three in a car, you know, is expected of you. You have to also make sure that when you go to the polling stations, you recognize the vulnerable in our communities, which are the elderly, and sometimes you may have to give leeway so that they can be, you know, put to the front so they can conduct their business and just leave, you know. And you have to make sure, for example, you cannot take any writing instruments to the polling station because you're going to be given those things, you know, to reduce the levels of COVID-19. You know, they will sanitize them, the electoral department. So all of these are things that you may be thinking, hey, I'm going to take my own pencil, I'm going to take my own pen. But you'll be given these instruments. So we want to make sure that we reduce the levels of COVID-19. So we're taking every precaution necessary to make sure that Barbadians are safe so that they can go out and they can vote and they can, you know, create a democratic society.
So what if I woke up with an itchy throat? I ain't telling you because I'm going to vote. So what should I do? How responsible should I be in a situation like that where I feel not so perfect, but I'm not letting you know?
That's true, because persons always say, hey, look, I have sinuses, I have asthma, it's hay fever outside. So persons always think that these are the usual behaviors that would happen before COVID-19. So they'll think that. But I think it's the onus is on you to be responsible and to stay home, seek medical help. But if you do, we have persons there at hand with the temperature guns to make sure that they get the temperatures and to make sure that the others are safe as well. And if something is wrong, I guess you'll be placed aside and you'll be temperature will be taken again to make sure that all is well. But the onus is on you to be responsible. This is only one day. Yes, you want to cast your vote. You want to make sure that the party you want to get in is there, but you have to make sure you look at the long haul. We want to make sure we have a healthy society. Our numbers may be up because of the Christmas holiday and all the shopping and all the fanfare that we had at Christmas time, but we have to make sure that our children get to school. We have to make sure that they can play outside. We have to make sure that granny and mommy can still come over. So we want to make sure that for the long haul, that Barbados is a healthy society, reducing our numbers. So we have to take the personal care with how we behave and how we interact. So we can't look at past behaviors. We have to recognize that new behaviors, we need to bring our new behaviors to the table when we're going to vote, and we have to make sure that we encourage others in a nice way to just follow the protocols, because we recognize that persons may not always be on the same level, they may not be always tuned in, they may not be always interested, but the onus is on us to take the responsibility. So just ask your friend to pull up the mask, wear it better, and you can't take more than one mask sometimes, because if the lines are long, sometimes you may be chatting or something like that, you may need to have a different mask, because sometimes you need to discard of the mask every 3 hours or so. So please follow these basic practices so that we can reduce the levels and get Barbados out and running again.
Mabel, from your perspective, because you're studying psychology, you're very much interested in that. Let's look at the psychology of human behavior and how we should respect what that psychology is so that we better understand how to treat to how people behave. What would you say?
Sorry, my my internet went there for a second, but I think so. I'm about to start a 4-year psychology degree next year, and so I think working for this charity will be an amazing opportunity to allow me to understand the challenges that people face and why people commit crimes, which I think is obviously something on a global scale, but I think that it will be interesting learning from the West Indian side as well as the English side, what that's like. Obviously, I think behaviours stem a lot from sort of childhood and the way you were raised and things like that. And so I think I think part of my work with the charity will be to talk to people and understand how they got into the situation in the first place, which I think will ultimately be good if when I'm working in the prison system when I'm older, if there are any West Indian inmates, I might be able to further sympathise with where they've come from more than most workers, hopefully.
All right. Well, I wish you well in your internship, working along with Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite. She's good. She's going to drive you. I think you'll learn quite a bit as well with the Caribbean Association of Behavior Change Practitioners. Cecilia, thank you so much as usual for joining us. And you too, Mabel Lucas, I wish you the very best. And I hope people have heard your call and your plea for us to, again, continue to practice all the protocols on Election Day so it remains safe and sound. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having us. Have a wonderful day.
You do too. Thank you so much. Morning Barbados takes a break here. We're back with the news after.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 o'clock in Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean. Time for us once again to take a look at the news with the current IMF program set to come to an end this year. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley says she wants to ensure that once feasible, the economy is in a position to continue on a path of major growth. Speaking at a meeting in Wotton, Christchurch last night on behalf of a candidate Ryan Strawn, Ms. Motley said the future looks bright.
You have to wait and see what the outturn figures are. You have to wait and see what the cost of capital, the interest rates are. And you make decisions based on where we are. The bottom line is the IMF did not impose anything on us that we didn't want to do. We developed our own Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program. There are elements of it that have to be tweaked because of the pandemic. But we are going after growth aggressively this year. And Ryan will tell you that this year and next year, we expect double-digit growth and we expect to turn the corner.
Barbados Labour Party candidate for St. James Central Kerry Simmons has been citing areas where there has been a reduction in the power of the office of the Prime Minister. He's been responding to allegations about Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley's style of leadership. Speaking at that meeting at Wotton, Mr. Simmons said one change has been in the selection of the Chief Justice and judges.
Unlike Errol Barr, unlike David Thompson, unlike Owen Arthur, unlike Franda Stewart, unlike Erskine Sandiford, she has determined that judges in Barbados will not be selected by a Prime Minister, but that they will be subject to recommendations made from a panel of learned people in the law. So that she is saying, look, though I can, by way of the constitutional power I have, choose the Chief Justice of Barbados, she did not choose Sir Patterson Cheltenham.
Democratic Labour Party President Verla de Pisa is hitting back at critics of her leadership and campaign styles. Speaking on a platform in Deacons last night in the St. Michael Northwest constituency in support of Ryan Walters, she said the strategy allows each candidate to stand for themselves. She also gave her perspective of leadership.
When we can have individuals walking through and taking over the poster on every part of the island as though we are creating some sort of demigod in the country, and then telling me that because my poster not all about Barbados, that means that my people are not standing with me. It is because my people can stand on their own 2 feet. And that is not what leadership is, to have one person running the whole thing.
Meanwhile, the DLP candidate for St. Michael Northwest, Ryan Walters, believes some of the challenges being faced by the National Insurance Scheme can be solved by increasing employment opportunities for Barbadians. Walters says such an approach will be far more effective than borrowing money to replenish the scheme.
If you employ people, National Insurance will get its due. About just over 23% of your wages go into the National Insurance Scheme between yourself and the employer. Money will come. Instead of playing the fool, employ the people, support employment, let the people earn an income, support businesses, replenish the NAS, and live. That is the economics I want you to be studying, not a debt to GDP and all that. Left that for the central bank.
A suggestion: infrastructural development in Barbados should not be dependent on political partisanship. This assertion from Alliance Party for Progress candidate for St. Philip West, Lynette Eastman. She says the time has come for political parties to put a national infrastructural plan in place.
Within the Alliance, we believe that there should be an infrastructural plan for Barbados so that we give certain infrastructural work priority, and so that you can see when roads in your particular neighborhood are going to be done, and there's a pledge to do them.
Well, 412 new positive COVID-19 cases have been recorded in Barbados. The new positives, 227 females and 185 males, were identified by the Best of Santos Public Health Lab from among 1,988 tests conducted on Saturday. Of the 412, 70 were under the age of 18. 105 people are in isolation facilities, while in home isolation are 5,217. Since February 2020, Barbados has recorded 35,373 COVID-19 cases. The number of deaths from the viral illness remains at 269, and the total number of fully vaccinated individuals now stands at 145,896. Well, that's our news until now. We'll have more news coming here on TV8 at 12 noon in the CBC Newsday. On radio, it will be at 8 o'clock and again at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're 8 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Now time for us to give you some good news, the good advice of the day. What will it be today? And what can you learn from it? We encourage you to be proactive. Life is so very uncertain, and it's better to stay prepared for it. A proactive person thinks and acts ahead of anticipated events. In order to be proactive, start taking action today and take responsibility for your life. By doing so, you will be able to anticipate your future and focus on solutions instead of being stuck with the problems. If you take care of day-to-day tasks regularly instead of just putting them off, you will be more stress-free and can ensure that those tasks do not turn into a huge burden for you. A little effort every day can save you from a big crisis later. So be proactive. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. And what it is that you can do tomorrow that you can do today, do it today. In other words, so don't put off, because a little effort every day can save you from a big crisis later. Take note. Let that be your good decision of the day. All right, a break, and when we come back, time to test you. Want to find out whether or not you know your Barbados as well as I think you do. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good to you.
10 minutes after 7 o'clock this Monday morning, time for you to guess the location. Time for you, please, to give me a call on 228-5562 or 228-5563. Those two numbers get busy right now. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let me show you this picture. And I'd like you to guess the location. Where is this beach? Where is this? Looks familiar, doesn't it? It looks familiar, does it not? If you think you know where this is, and it can be anywhere on this island, call me. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Of course, we have a little bit of a conversation, so don't just rush off the phone. Where is this beach? 228-5562. 228-5563. Some of you are saying, but that could be anywhere, Pearson. Good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Had a good weekend?
Yes, I did.
Did you have your breakfast already?
Yes, I did.
What did you have for breakfast?
Tea.
What did you have?
Tea.
And,
some cold cafe tea with cheese sticks and bread.
Oh, that sounds good. But cold cafe, isn't that coffee?
Yes.
And what you call it, tea? But then again, that's what we say in the morning, right? We say that anything hot is tea. All right, no problem. So where in the island are you? What parish are you watching from?
St. Thomas.
Okay, great. Oh, you don't have a clue about the beach either. But anyhow, where is this beach?
Port St. Charles.
Let me see if you're right. You think so? What about this picture makes you think that's Port St. Charles?
The little background where the tree is.
By the cloud over there, by the dark cloud.
Yeah.
That looks very Port St. Charles-y.
Yeah, it looks so.
No, sister. That isn't it. You're really from St. Thomas. But thanks for trying here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Bye-bye. Alrighty then. Lord forgive me. I'm having too much fun. 228-5562 or 228-5563. So where's this beach? Somebody probably thought it was also Port St. Charles and put down. No, don't hang up. Feel free. Stick around. Let's see if we can work this out together. We shall work it out together. Now, so where is this beach? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Merry Monday to you.
Merry Monday to you too. And how was your weekend?
My weekend was quite good.
What made it quite good?
It was relaxing.
So that makes it quite good?
Yes, spent it doing charitable work.
Did you get the laundry done?
No laundry this weekend.
So it was not at all? So you're piling up clothes until when?
No, I didn't have any laundry this weekend.
Smart woman. But you said you got involved in some charity work?
Yeah.
What was it you did, if you don't mind my asking?
Had some volunteer work to do.
You still haven't answered my question? You don't want to answer my question, right?
Pardon me?
You did not tell me what it is that you did.
Oh, I am assisting in helping rebuild a home.
Oh, well done.
I was doing some painting.
Ah, well done. I'm so glad that you're giving back in that kind of way. So, what parish are you in?
Right now, I'm in St. Michael.
Okay, so you have ideas of beaches. Where is this beach?
Well, it's Port St. Charles. Over the weekend, I was actually in St. Peter.
And you gone back with that answer too, huh?
What, Port St. Charles?
The lady before you said the same thing.
Oh, I didn't hear the answer before.
Oh, that's all right. But I'll tell you the answer now. Wrong.
It's wrong? It's not Port St. Charles?
No. Did you see this beach here when you were there at Port St. Charles on the weekend?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, that's not where it is. All right. My production crew is saying, "Well, don't hang up, ma'am. What did you guys say to me?"
I'm sorry?
Then I would have to give it to the other woman too. All right. So they said to me, all right, be kind this morning and give it to both of you. Ma'am, you're right. It's really Haywood's Beach. You know where Haywood's Beach is?
Me, yes.
And so therefore you know where Port St. Charles is in proximity to.
I I bathe right there on that beach.
On this said beach?
The bridge is where you're walking over, where you're going over to the port, to the customs entry of Port St. Charles.
Yes.
And that beach is between Nikki Beach and Port St. Charles.
You're showing off, man. You're showing off.
Yeah.
You're right, though.
Yeah.
So you
right
bathe.
there. I bathe right all the time.
All the time?
Yes.
When next are you heading there?
Next weekend.
This weekend coming?
Yes.
What time?
I'm not sure yet.
Morning or
Saturday.
evening?
Oh, Friday.
Morning or evening?
Whatever time, based on the weather.
You find it because we're gonna bring the
Just too much.
we're gonna bring the camera down to capture you at the beach, having a good time.
Well, you want to meet me at the beach?
Well, that's why I'm asking. But thank you so much for participating. You've been good fun indeed. Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
Merry Monday
All
to
right.
you. And a
Likewise
wonderful
to you. Merry Monday and have a wonderful week as well. There she goes. Well, look, yes, it is right there. Actually, you know, that's the Haywards Beach side of it, but nevertheless, we'll take it from you if you say Port St. Charles. But you guys are good. You know your beach and you know St. Peter quite well, even if you're from St. Thomas or St. Michael. Congratulations to all of you indeed. Tomorrow, if it be God's will, we have another picture. We'd ask you to help us see where it is. And it's good to know that you get around this island to get to experience all that it has to offer. We'll take a break here. When we come back, Gimme Raw on the scene. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And, well, let me move this aside here. And, Stasia, what is it?
Simeon!
Come on in the house. Come on in the house. You go ahead and put your vibration with these berries on here. Put your vibration with the berries here. Yeah. So you can do whatever you like here. I'm going to slice up blackberries. You can go ahead and put them in anywhere you like. Strawberry, your vibe. Forget what I was doing.
Oh,
Forget what I was doing. Your vibe. Put your stamp on it. Put your signature on it. Put your stash energy right on there. I'm going to slice them up for you. I'm going to slice up the blueberry. So what you could do, you could actually...
That's how it went on Saturday the 15th indeed. Gimme Raw, the big demonstration there with Dr. Aris Latham and Stasia Davidson. Stasia is with us at the moment. Stasia, good morning to you.
Good morning!
You are rejoicing. It went so well on Saturday. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was, trust me, it was a good event. It was a good event.
That is great. I watched a part of it. I couldn't stay for all of it. But you know, just to watch how you guys were just moving through the kitchen and you were using natural sun-fired food, raw food, to make delicious drinks and delicious meals, really, at the end of the day. While it's liquid, it was delicious meals. How was it for you, though, being there with him and doing all that you did?
Trust it, it was a awesome experience. I learned so much, you know, just learning the information on what to eat, when, how the
Yes.
food combination principles, it was just so amazing, and the tasting. That's my favorite part. Taste all the delicious raw meals. It was just a really great experience. One that will go down
Yeah.
in my highlight for 2022 for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful. He kept talking about bring your vibrations, bring your vibrations. What do you think he meant when he kept saying that, Dr. Latham? Bring your vibrations, and what vibrations do you think you brought?
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, you have to. I believe in listening to your intuition and all of that. So if you're in the kitchen, you have to work with what you have available as well, because we live all over the globe. So you may have apple where you are from in season. I may have something else. So you have to bring, you have to listen to your intuition, use what you have around you, and bring your whole vibe into the kitchen as well. So if you feel to add something that, in other words, do not be a slave to the
Yes.
recipe. Add your thing to it.
I love it. The man is with us at the moment right now, Dr. Aris Latham. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Listen, you guys were so creative in the kitchen on Saturday. I watched it, and you had your special ingredient, Dr. Latham, the cacao, and that's the first time I'd ever met that fruit. He's sticking. He chose to stick. Stasia, come.
The cacao is we kind of call it the cocoa in Jamaica. It's what they use to actually make chocolate. So, right, that's the cacao.
So having done the almond milk, I saw when he did the almond milk, I saw when he did all the other extracts and he added the cacao to it, and you had a chance to taste it.
It was delicious.
Yes. Tell me, did it taste like chocolate, or did you have all the other infused flavors as well?
The chocolate wasn't a standout taste for me. I guess the mixture of the cacao and the coconut and all those things blended together and pressed gave it its own flavor. It was good.
There's some people who would look at the demonstration you guys did and think, that's so much work. I have to do all of this to get my almond milk. I have to do all of this to get my coconut milk. I have to do all of this before I can put it all together. And if you're a little bit lazy, like, as I perhaps am, you want to reach instead for something that someone else prepares. And you're saying, no, because then you're losing the true value of all of those fruits infused.
You know what? I think it's best to prepare it yourself, but there are also establishments, just like how you can reach for something else. There you can buy the stuff from persons who are actually doing it. But always remember though, the longer the shelf life, the shorter your life. So think about that.
Dr. Latham is back. Good morning again to you, Dr. Latham. Do not stick on me again, sir.
My apologies.
That's all right. That's all right.
The internet system here that's happens. Mind of the soul.
Happens. How was that Saturday experience for you, though? Because I enjoyed it watching it.
Well, it was tremendous. Ultimately, when we are consuming food has become such a social thing in this civilization, and it's tied up into all social relationships that we have. So ultimately, the type of cuisine that modern humans have been pretty much hooked on is one that is entertainment. So it was very entertaining for me to actually entertain people with food, and that's pretty much what I do. So to even answer the question that you had just asked, Stasia, in terms of doing all of this work,
yes,
just picture human beings before technology. Picture human beings. I mean, look, I was in the 50s, and we didn't have all of this sophisticated stuff. Imagine people 200, 300 years ago, 500, 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
Look, we just went into our garden and ate whatever there was, and that was it. So yeah, today we have gotten to a level where it's so much about entertainment. So basically, that's what I did on Saturday. I just
Yes.
had fun in the kitchen, and you joined me on the tube, and you got entertained. But you don't necessarily have to do it this way, But then again, we've become such a busy human force here that we have time for everything else. But when it comes to our food, something happens. We don't have the time. We don't have so fine. That's good. Then you must be making a lot of money. So I would train a chef for you and just pay somebody to take care of it. Okay.
I love how you've been able to refocus my thinking. Well done. You're quite right. Sometimes we get so consumed by all of the other things that we spend time there. But when it comes to taking care of the vessel, the body, we don't spend enough time to make sure we eat correctly and we eat rhythmically, which brings to this rhythmic eating thing that you've been talking about. Explain that to all of us. When you say rhythmic eating, what do you mean?
Well, every energy in the universe goes on its own rhythm. Okay, we see the sun, it's in a rhythm. The moon is in rhythm. Everything, the rain comes in rhythms. We can predict. So this is pretty much what we need to do in terms of coming back home to self. Get reconnected to the rhythms of the universe, which is our personal rhythm. But we are so haphazard the way we do things, and especially when it comes to our food. Some of us do have, good tight schedule, because, we're trying to fit it in with our work schedule, with our school schedule, and things of that nature. But, let's pick up a rhythm that is sustainable and that it would not really put us in a position where it becomes a hazard to our health. Just eating, at odd times of the day and so forth and so on. But I think a lot of it comes back to know thyself, knowing the body, knowing the machine that you are living in, and how does this thing function best. So I think that's part of our gap right here, is we don't have a owner user's manual for the body today.
Yes,
So we don't know how this system truly works. But if we did, then we would see that, there's definite times of the day when the digestive system is a lot more active, But we have a built-in rhythm naturally. That's why we go to sleep every night for 8 hours, and we don't have a choice. So there are some bumper guards that we can't go too far off course because, hey, we're plugged into the universe.
It is. When I saw the concept first, I thought, okay, perhaps he's talking about the seasons for fruits. When ripening and the harvesting and so forth, maybe that's the rhythmic eating of which you're speaking. Or is that also a part of the concept of rhythmic eating?
That is also part of the concept of rhythmic eating. Foods go in seasons for particular reasons. So we see, like, in the summer, in the height of the summer, here comes watermelon. Anywhere you are in the world, like it's the summer right now in Panama, and tons they're at their peak, so fruits, high moisture foods, they're more abundance in the warmer time of the day of the year to cool us down. And then basically in the times of the year when it's a little more temperate, a little cooler, there are more warming foods that are available to us, and these are the low moisture foods. These are what I call the magnetic foods, the proteins and the starches, the beans, the grains, the deep roots, or even just roots, period, and the fatty foods. These are foods that can be preserved, can be sustained. They're not as perishable. And you see in certain parts of the world in the deep winter, basically they harvest, the pumpkin and all of those things, and they're ready, for the next 3 months and things of that nature. And then greens, vegetables, they're more abundant in the spring and the fall. So in the spring and the fall, we want to eat 50% vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, no fat, no protein, and no fruits. So that's those vegetables. So 50% in the spring and fall, 25% fruits, 25% starches and or protein. And then, so in the summer, obviously, 50% fruits, 25% from the magnetic groups. But you always balance with the vegetables. The vegetables are the stabilizers. So there's some vegetables we can find at other times of the year consistently. Tomatoes, the sweet peppers, the hot peppers, the zucchini and things of this nature. So it's about really keeping in harmony with the rhythms of the universe. We're heavenly bodies out here in the universe. So
Indeed.
let's team up with the rest of the universe and keep the rhythm going.
You use the word protein. I'm sure there are many people who would say right now, I told you he would use meat. I told you he would talk about meat. He said protein. But no. When you say protein, you're not talking about the animal food, are you?
Not necessarily whatsoever. All proteins come with fat. So protein are high fatty foods. So we're talking nuts, almonds, walnuts, pecans, Brazil nuts, macadamia seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds. These are all rich protein foods. Ackee is a protein food. It's got the fat. The pear, the avocado pear, protein. Olives, protein. Coconut meat from the mature coconut, protein, because they do have fat. So there's plenty of ample protein in plant-based foods that we can enjoy, but they don't bring the baggage that animal-based protein bring with them, because they don't break down that well. And pretty much in our system, they break down the way they break down in our trash bins with worms and maggots and all of this sort of stuff. And that's why a lot of us, we get infections very easily when we consume animal-based products. And then it's the foundation for certain diseases like cancer and other really life-threatening diseases. So let's be careful where we get our protein. We can't get adequate protein from the plants.
Stasia, you sit in such a wonderful position to sit with this gentleman and to be able to learn all of this, and and for people to understand your journey just a little bit. Just give us a quick sense of where you came from and where you are now.
Where I am now. Well, you see, I'm sitting in front of my library. Okay. And and I have another one in Jamaica. I left 12,000 volumes in Jamaica. So I've spent a lot of time reading. Researching, and this was from personal interest, But I was born in Panama, on the Panama.
Right. Oh, we seem to have lost the audio there. But Stasia, perhaps you can jump in. Dr. Latham, hold on. Yes, Stasia.
So I was saying that I came from, I've lost approximately 45 pounds. My waistline has dramatically decreased. I have had mental clarity has improved. My energy has increased, and my period cramps are no more. I've had horrible monthly period cramps from growing up, and now it's because of a change in the way how I eat. All of that is now no more. So yeah, so that's where I'm coming from.
Right. There are lots of benefits from eating raw. Well, I have to leave it right there, both of you. You're both so fascinating. So fascinating indeed. Tremendously wonderful meeting both of you. Thank you so much, Stasia Davidson and Dr. Aris Latham, for joining with us again and giving us the update. I can't wait to hear more about the next. Please contact my producer and we will be happy to have you back on to talk again more about this. So have the best of today, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having us.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome indeed. Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
24 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. We'll continue our conversation on the work of the Barbados Association of Endometriosis. Joining us this morning to talk more about that is Nadine Jack, who is the communications consultant. And joining her is someone living with endometriosis, Shante Warden. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning, Pearson.
Good morning indeed. Nadine, let's talk a little bit about this because it feels at times that somehow the message is not being heard. Do you feel that sometimes too?
I think people are aware, but they're not as aware as they could be.
So what do we now do together, yourself and wider society, so that people who live with endometriosis, people understand them better and what the condition is?
Well, we need to get the message out as much as possible, and that's why we have an organization such as BAEP, or the BAEP, and it stands for the Barbados Association of Endometriosis and PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I'll let Shante actually go more in depth about what those conditions are and the symptoms of them. But basically, this is something that a lot of women all over the world suffer for. About 190 million women of reproductive age suffer from endometriosis and PCOS. So what we're trying to do is raise awareness, and we're also going to talk today about a fundraising event we have, which will assist ladies with this condition.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that in just a moment. Shante, let's talk a little bit about your. I don't want you to give me all of your personal business, but because I know it's rather personal for a lot of people. But even so, for people to understand, you have to share just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what you've been experiencing.
Okay, so living with endometriosis, I have endometriosis and PCOS. I was diagnosed last year with PCOS. In 2017, I would have been diagnosed with PCOS. And from a very young age, I always had issues with my menstrual cycle. And as time progressed, things got worse. So what really led to me finding out about the endometriosis was an incident where I ended up in accident and emergency as a teenager with a ruptured cyst. So you can say the condition is really painful. It really affects women mentally, physically, the quality of life for women. So that is basically, a challenge in everyday life.
You must have been shocked to think at your young age that you have to be experiencing what you were experiencing. How did you deal with it? How did you cope with the information? How did you cope with the knowledge and then finding some way to get this resolved?
At first, when I first heard about it, I never heard the word before, right? And I find in society, a lot of persons don't know what endometriosis is. But thankfully, because of BAEP, I would have spoken to one of our co-founders, and just realizing that there is a society out there for persons like me, because I was unaware that other persons had this condition. So having them really gave me that support that I needed. And through working with BAEP, I'm the vice president of BAEP as well. Working with them, I found it easy on my story, and in telling my story, it was an eye-opener for many, and it also encouraged other ladies to share their story as well.
Did you find yourself shying away from situations, from people, from crowd, from everything else, reserving yourself from having what you would consider to be an embarrassing situation?
Yes, I have. Many a times, you wouldn't feel well. So let's say, your friends say, let's go out. But you're on your monthly, and you're afraid to leave home because you may mess up yourself, because a lot of times persons with endometriosis have very heavy periods. So being in social settings sometimes can be very uncomfortable for persons living with endometriosis as well as PCOS.
And so the conversation has to continue so that people are a lot more sensitive in dealing with people who are themselves experiencing this. And did you hear our previous interview just a moment ago where we were talking about eating raw food?
Yes,
did you at some point in time thought maybe it's what I eat or maybe it's how I eat? Did those things cross your mind at all? Is that a part of your consideration?
Yes, it did cross my mind, and at one point I did change my eating habits. So for persons with endometriosis, we're supposed to cut out refined sugars, gluten, dairy, caffeine, wheat and stuff like that. So I tried to change my diet, but unfortunately that didn't work for me. It may work for somebody else. So this condition is not the treatment for this condition is not a one size fit all. You have to see what works for you. So medication may work for some persons, changing their eating habits may work, exercising may work, but everybody is a bit different.
Because it's not a one-size-fits-all, Nadine, you know, it must make the work of communicating about this so challenging, but it can be so rewarding. So what else are you doing now so that you're able to do what you're supposed to do, which is to help other people who manage the condition?
Right, so what we're looking to do is increase our visibility, get the message out there, because like I said earlier, this affects over 190 million women. So this is at least 10% of the global population, 1 in every 10 women. So this could be your sister, your wife, your cousin, any female person that you know could have this condition. And it would be great if you had at least, you know, information on some place to refer them to, how to get diagnosed, and that is what BAIT does. So at BAIT, we are trying to get our message out so that people are more aware, people can refer people who may be suffering to us, and that way they can get the help that they need.
But help costs. And so you're having a fundraiser very shortly. So let's talk a little bit about what we can expect. What's happening?
Yes, we're having a fundraiser and it's a physical event. We know people are, you know, they have the Zoom fatigue. It's called Paint and Sit. Yes, they want to get out and enjoy themselves safely. So we're having this event on Friday, the 21st of January, which is the Errol Barrow holiday. It's outdoors. So, you know, there's going to be fresh air. There's going to be social distancing. You're going to have your paints and your canvas. Miss Didier is the instructor. She's going to, you know, take everyone through the process. And at the end of it, you'll have a beautiful painting to take home. But most importantly, your contribution is going to go towards, you know, helping to fund surgeries that women with this condition need. So this is why we're having this event. And tentatively, we're going to have subsequent events as well.
Okay, so it's a sip and paint. So you'll sit, sip, and you will paint indeed on Friday, this coming Friday, which is Errol Barrow Day, a national holiday. So everyone is free from work, quote unquote, you know, and so where will it be? Where will the sip and paint be and what time?
Sure, yes. It's at the Ivan Harewood Center. And if you're not familiar with that name, it's attached to the Christchurch Parish Church, which I'm sure more people will be familiar with.
Yes.
It's from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Again, it's going to be outdoors. Protocols will be in place and we will be enforcing them. But we want people to come out and, you know, and have a nice, elegant evening, painting, sipping. And I must note it's non-alcoholic wine because alcohol is one of the triggers for the conditions. So we're going to have some light refreshments and some finger foods, and you'll get to paint and, you know, socialize safely.
Yes.
And have a great evening while, you know, contributing to a good cause.
So because it's a fundraiser, what does it cost?
Okay, so the donation that we're asking for is 50 Barbados dollars. If you would like to contribute more than that, we welcome and appreciate that. And that is going to be paid electronically, and we're going to have collection points prior to the event as well.
Okay, so we can go and we can do our payment electronically. How can we do so? Where do we go?
Right, so on the flyer, you will see an email. It's baepevents246@gmail.com. You will send us the amounts of seats you would like reserved, and then we would give you instructions from there how to make the payment.
Okay, great. So we send you an email. B-A-P-E, did I get that right?
B-A-P-E.
Put up the poster again for me, folks, please. Oh, there it is on our screen. BAEP events 246@gmail.com. So you'll send an email there indicating how many people you'd like to reserve for. And it could be just you, or you can take along some friends with you. You'll be socially distanced, of course. And in doing so, you will then get a response that tells you how to make your contribution towards this event. But it sounds fantastic. It sounds like a real dress-up event, or dress down as much as you choose. Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you're comfortable in.
Pardon me?
Wear whatever you're comfortable in.
Oh, good, great. All right. So we'll wear what we're comfortable in. All protocols will be observed, of course, you know, so we encourage you still to mask up, still to sanitize, still to be socially distant. It is going to be fantastic, and we're trying to help those who need the help most. And so we encourage all of you for this Friday coming, but start sending your email in all now. Oh,
Yes.
like no. Get those
Spaces are
emails
limited,
in.
so yeah.
That's right.
Get those
Spaces are
emails.
limited. The information is right there on your screen. Take your time, write it down. BAEP events 246 at gmail.com to confirm your attendance, to confirm the number of people who will be coming in your party, and also to make the arrangements for your contributions to be received. I want to thank you in advance, folks, for doing this and for stepping up and stepping out to help our ladies who are battling with endometriosis and PCOS. It's a condition which affects over 190 million people worldwide, but in Barbados, quite a few as well. Thank you, Nadine Jack, for joining us this morning, and you too, Shante Warden. I don't know what it is to walk in your shoes, but I thank you for walking in your shoes confidently, and I encourage everyone to support the effort here on this particular occasion, the Sip and Paint on the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Folks, it's this Friday, Arrow Barrow Day, at the Ivan Herwood Centre attached to the Christ Church Parish Church, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's where you will be for the fundraiser Sip and Paint. You need to confirm your attendance. You need to confirm the number of people in your party, and you need to make your contribution ahead of time. And follow all the protocols. Have a good time as the fundraising effort obtains. We'll take a break here. We're back with more because Carlos Cobham speaks.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
12 minutes now to 8 o'clock. As I've been saying to you, Carlos Cobham speaks. Carlos Cobham has a voice. Carlos Cobham knows how to use the voice. And the voice is not just the physical vocal cords that he has, but all of his body and being and creativity as well to speak. And so he joins us this morning. Carlos, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Boyd. Good morning, Barbados. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Boy, you bursting with energy this morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just keeping it faith over here, trying to keep the light shining in the midst of all that's going on in the world, in the midst of the pandemic. We have a lot going on, and I'm just here to shed some more light.
Indeed. And in shedding the light, as I said before, leading into this, you have a voice to be heard. And so you agitate on behalf of young people because you want them to do something. What is it you want young people to acknowledge and to recognize?
Indeed. I would love the young people in this time to really look to God. In this time and age, we have so much blocking our young people from God right now, right? You have so many different idols in place, across the world. I remember having a dream, and this was probably 4 years ago, before even COVID would have hit. And God showed me some clouds, going across in the sky, and He showed me the sun above the clouds, and He also showed me the people, who were on the floor, on the ground, and the people there were trying to reach the sun, which was symbolic of God, but the clouds were in the way, right? And I believe God was trying to show me that these clouds were symbolic of the amount of idolatry that is taking place in the world today, blocking our young people from Him, blocking our young people from actually hearing and actually seeking Him at this time. So there's so much clutter, so much blocking our young people and people in general from hearing God and from seeing Him and from trusting in Him. So I'm here to remind our young people and people in general to go back to the Potter, go back to our Creator, go back to who brought us here in the first place. Because even in Barbados, we were once a country that truly depended upon God. And I would love to see us there again. I would love to see us truly and wholeheartedly, place our dependency solely on him, even in the midst of the politics that are going on right now. Earlier I would have heard that, comments made in reference to a Messiah, and there's only one Messiah, and that's Jesus Christ. And I would love us to put our trust in not just man, but in God, because God is going to be needed for man to carry out what he desires us to carry out here in the earth. So I encourage and implore our young people not to put our trust in man, because man can fail us, right? I'm sure we would have had persons in our lives that we would have looked up to, and they would have promised us X, Y, Z, and those promises would have failed, because promises are comfort to a fool. So I want to encourage our young people to place your comfort and place your trust in God, because his promises are sure and all his promises are yes and amen. So that's why I'm here today. Yes. I want to encourage Barbados to get back to God. I want to encourage our young people to focus upon him. And I want to encourage you also to get out and vote, because our young people, you have a voice and our future is at stake. And I want you to also discern the times that we're in right now, because your vote will count and your vote will determine where we go in the next few months. Because trust me, in the next few months, our country is going to face severe devastation. And not just the country, the world at stake. We're in a famine, okay? We're in a famine. And I wish I could say that things were going to get better, because truthfully, things are projected and prophesied to get worse. And that's why we are supposed to stand up and place our trust in God, and we're supposed to be the light in the midst of darkness, because little by little, slowly but surely, the world is decaying before our very eyes. Right. And let me tell you, those that we trust, or place our trust in, we cannot. We have to solely place our trust in God.
Carlos, some say as a youth minister, but the ministry is to provide hope. Hope.
Yes.
But when you paint for me the picture of destruction and dread, then that's no hope for me. So what do you say to our people today that gives them hope?
Understood. So, even in the day of Jeremiah, Jeremiah, when he came about, his word was, that God gave him, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you a hope and a future. But do remember that during that time, there was devastation. During that time, you got to understand the context of where Jeremiah spoke, right? There was mass idolatry. And a lot of the things that God gave Jeremiah to say, the people didn't want to hear, right? But it was something that the people needed, right? So God is still encouraging us, yes, to hold on to that hope and to hold on to the future that he's going to give us, yes, but be aware that times are going to get difficult. All right, and despite God wants us to have faith, he wants us to have hope, he wants us to have trust, know that these are going to be trying times, because these are the end times, okay? These are the end times. And I wish I could tell you, contrary, but in all honesty, things are going to get trying, it's going to get more difficult, and we have to hold on to our faith and our trust in God. And we have to unite as a people and be creative. I recognize too, even from the creative domain, there was a lot of stifling in that department over the last few years, and now is the time that we need our creative people more so than ever. Right, we need creativity right now. We need our young people right now more than ever, and I want to encourage the youth also to speak up. Because you two have a voice, you two are creative, the young people, you are our future. So I want to encourage our leaders to also welcome and embrace our young people, from the north, the south, and east, and the west. Yes, we are local, but let's stay global, and let's work together as a team and believe God like never before.
Some would say it's easier for you. You're a Christian, you're already there. You're asking me now to make a decision, to make a step forward, to change from what I've grown very accustomed. But I'm scared. So what do you say to them to assure them that, to choose God is not scary?
Well, fear is not of God, right? And let me just touch back even to COVID in itself. Let's look at the mask, for instance, right? Anything that happens in the physical realm, it must first happen in the spiritual realm. And I believe that even this mass is symbolic from the sense of trying to close the mouth of our people. trying to shut off our people, trying to shut down businesses, trying to shut down the church, trying to shut down things. But guess what? God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So young people, know that despite things may look scary, all right, you can still grasp up your hand to God and allow him to place that faith over the fear that you may be feeling. Fear can be natural, but it's not of God. The moment you hold on to God's hand, you trust in not man, because man is not God. God is higher than man. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. You may not know where you want to go right now, but guess what? He knows where he wants you to go. He knows why he created you. He knew you before you were in your mother's womb. So I want to encourage you and implore you to hold on to the Master's hand. Hold on to God's hand, because he knows what's best. It may look cloudy. It may look like you don't know what to do or where to go, but God knows, and eventually it will make sense. Eventually you'll realize what God was doing all along. So I want to encourage you not to fear trusting God, not to fear, giving your life to him, because that's the best decision you can make. Yes, we all fall, right? Christian, non-Christian, we all fall. We are people first and foremost. And I'm not here to push Christianity on anyone. I'm a kingdom of God man, right? Even in the Bible, you won't see anything about Christianity. You won't see anything about Muslim. You won't see anything about those, different denominations that are about. You will hear about the kingdom, right? You will hear Jesus talking about the kingdom of God. So I want to encourage our young people to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all other things will be added unto you.
Boy, I can quote with you this morning. This is fantastic. Your energy is infectious, Carlos, indeed. And, clearly you're doing what you're doing, and you're doing it in the name of God, and you're doing it for his ministry and his purpose as well, which is great. Now, for those watching today who are thinking, I'd like to hear a little bit more from Carlos on this subject and these subjects, do you have an online ministry that folks can come check?
Sure, yes. My ministry is Quest International. It was also registered in the U.S. and it's also registered here in Barbados, headquartered in Barbados. So I'm back here in Barbados to carry out some more ministry.
Okay.
So you can check on out www.kwestinternational.com. That's kwestinternational.com. Or you can find me on any social media platform. I am Carlos with a K and Cobham, COBHAM. I'll be happy to, speak with you, share with you, have discourse with you. And I welcome you even on radio. We also have Quest Radio, this Quest International. And later on in the year, you will hear about the United International Arts Expo, which we plan to have on an annual basis as well, to further have ministry, further impact and develop the arts here in Barbados, and to have an impact on our youth and families as well.
All right. This sounds fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing, Carlos. You're doing it well thus far. But thank you for joining us this morning. We hope that the young people heard. We hope that people of all the regions heard as well. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. For our little crew of our producer, Nadia Foster, our technical director, Roel Ford, sound engineer, Christopher Blenman, and master control is who? Tamisha Green. I'm Pearson Boyne. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning, if it be God's will. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.